Hello everyone, today I want to introduce you to our new product, the GlawningAIR. So let me take you through this one. We're going to pump it up first. There is a single valve attachment for pumping the whole thing up. So you can get a little adapter and then it'll just be the same as you get on a paddleboard if any of you are into that. And it just twists on. Now there are actually more than one valve. There's 1, 2, 3 valves on this one. The reason for that is one of the big problems with air awnings I found was that you had to get all the air out and it was a bit of a pain because you have to kind of roll on top of it and all that. If you've got more air valves for letting the air out, then it becomes easier. So you can open them all up when you're deflating it and it'll make it easier to roll up and get back in the bag. So let's blow it up, see how long it takes. There is a little bit of residual air in this one, but you'll get an idea. I'll keep talking so you know I'm not speeding it up. I just blow it up like this. No, just kidding. Blow it up. And it's a good idea as you are blowing it up every now and then just to stop and give it a bit of shape. To let the air go through the tubes. And looks like we're not far off. Okay, keep pumping away. Now you can do this with an electric pump if you can't be bothered to pump. However, it will take longer. The thing with electric pumps, excuse me, I'll just pop this up and then I'll... Okay, so we're pretty much there. Yes, so there's different types of electric pump. One of them will give you high pressure, low volume. So if you're pumping up something and it needs to be really high pressure, but it's actually not that much air, that's what you're using for that. This is low pressure, high volume, so you need to get lots of air in fast, but actually as you saw, once it's in, you don't need the pressure that high. So this is sitting now at only about 3 or 4 psi, a little bit less. And that's all you need. The thing with these is don't overinflate them because air will expand when it gets warm. So if it's a hot day, for example, and you've pumped it up really hard, sun comes out, air expands, that's when you could get problems. So here it is. Now your first observation might be that there's no panels. And that's actually one of the great features of this particular Glawning that we designed in there. So what I'll do is I'll get a panel out just to show you how they do fit, and then I'll explain why we've done it this way. This is our Glawning warehouse, in case you hadn't guessed. So here's a panel, as you'll see, and this is a window panel. And this simply zips in or out. Much like other Glawnings, we've made it as versatile as we can. So as you'll see, you can just zip that all the way around. And that's a panel on. So let me just explain the thinking here. One of the big problems that people have, or one of the things that people worry about with Glawnings, because they're made of polycotton, is that if they get wet, then you're going to have to take the whole thing down and then get it out at home and dry it out. And that can be a bit of a faff. It's easier if you take the ground sheet out, but it's still a bit of a faff. With these, if the whole thing gets wet, all you have to do is whip these panels out. And as you saw, you've then only got something the size of, you know, like a child's bed sheet or something. Just sling that over the line, and dry it out. So all these panels you can dry out very quickly. The other benefit of having the panels is if you're there with your glass of red wine and you accidentally spill it over there, again, you only need to replace the panel. You don't have to replace the whole tent. If you rip it, same deal. So we just thought it'd be really versatile to have these removable panels. And of course, the other thing is, if you've got a nice sunny day, you can just remove all the panels and have it like a lovely big open gazebo. Or you can put the odd panel in here and there if you wish. And finally, these panels aren't all going to be the same. So we're going to have door panels and window panels in as standard. But you'll also be able to buy in future different panels. So we're looking at a fully glazed one, for example. We're looking at the potential of getting printed panels. So the whole thing is going to become quite fun and unique. And that's all registered design right. So this is kind of our exclusive design with these removable panels. And hopefully you'll see the benefit. And of course, if you are drying it out, you may be thinking, well, what about the rest of it? I've still got these tubes and things. Well, these tubes will, if you just want to come inside, this whole canvas bit zips off the tubes. So you can unzip all of this and take the tubes out, and then you've just got this canvas bit again to dry out. So it makes the whole thing a whole lot easier. One thing I should point out is that you should never undo this zip here while it's inflated. If you undo that zip there, you'll get a big beach ball and it will pop. We'll also be selling spare tubes so that if you do suffer a puncture on a campsite, you can replace all the tubes, or you can repair them as a temporary thing. You can stick bits of duct tape over or whatever. But hopefully, I mean, it's all pretty well protected, so as long as you're not doing anything daft, then you should be fine. In terms of stoves, again, that's something that we will be putting in here. This is the prototype we've got here. So this is just an illustration of where the stove would go, but like our other tents, it will come with a pre-sewn in panel, fireproof panel, with the stove hole already cut. And again, you'll be able to buy that, with the stove hole already cut, and you'll be good to go. I forgot to do the pump up the glam.
You can always add it.
Yeah, I can always add it.
Pump up the glam, pump it up.
So another thing that people sometimes struggle with the Glawning, the original Glawning, is attaching it to a van. It can be quite difficult for a couple of reasons. Firstly, if you forget to put your connecting canopy on before you've put the Glawning up, then it's really hard to get it around the apex at the top of the door. So that's the first thing that we've kind of solved with this, I guess. In that, let's get it the right way around. The connecting canopy is very easy to zip on. You'll see here on these panels as well, we've put these Velcro down flaps over the bottom, so that again will just protect it from weather, wind blowing through the zips, but also rain coming down and getting in. So just these little things that we've thought about just to try and make it as good as possible. And yeah, zipping your connecting canopy, same as with a standard Glawning, and away you go. And as you'll see with this, unlike the original Glawning, it is a lot easier to zip the whole thing on when the tent is up, which is a great benefit. And now this is the thing that people are really going to love, because with the standard Glawning, of course, you've got to make sure your van's in the right position before you connect it. Now with a bit of practice it becomes quite easy, but when you first get it, it can be a bit frustrating if you don't know exactly where your van's got to be and how to do it. With this one, you can actually just connect it up, and then if you need to, just go around the other side and move it. So again, just a bit of a benefit you've got there with the air awning over perhaps the original. Are there any disadvantages? Yes, of course. There's always going to be pros and cons. One of the ones is, as I say, packing it away. With the original awning, the original Glawning, it's very easy just to roll it up, stick it in the bag, away you go. With this, it's a bit more of a faff getting all the air out and getting it rolled up nice and neat. But we will be supplying it like the original Glawning with extra large bags. So not this one that the prototype's in, but our big black and orange ones. And it'll be very easy to get in because we'll make the bag a lot bigger than it needs to be. The inside, if you want to come in here, again, as with our standard Glawnings, it will have a zipping ground sheet. So there's the zip for the ground sheet around the edge. And you'll see again, it's lifted up in a bathtub effect. So we've got this ground sheet going underneath, and then we'll have a ground sheet that goes over the top and zips to there, providing a nice watertight seal and also sealing the whole thing up from bugs and stuff. But again, as we've done here, we can remove the ground sheet altogether, so that if you want to put it up in the garden and not kill the grass, that's very easy to do. Or if you need to take it down because it's got wet and you need to dry it out, again, you can just zip the ground sheet out and you're good to go. We have these ventilation flaps in the top, so if you want to come outside and have a quick look, you'll see you can keep them held open so that you've got ventilation flowing right through, or you can of course flatten them down, but that little strap there is just to hold that open to keep the ventilation coming through nicely. We've got at the top this little cover that goes over your air tubes. That is handy if you want to hang lights and things. You can string all your fairy lights up around the top and over the tops of the tubes if you want. One other thing that we've done is that we've provided an extra weatherproof cover to go over the top of the tent. So this works in a couple of ways. It provides an extra bit of insulation and protection from the elements from the outside, from the bad weather. So if there's lots of rain falling on the top of your tent, it's all going to be doubly protected with this. And it will also provide some insulation inside as well. That extra layer with a small air gap between will mean the heat from the stove stays in there. So I would put this on all the time personally and make sure it's always on, but you can take it off if you so desire. You'll notice that this is covering where the stove is coming out at the moment. We have changed the profile of this. So with the production models, the profile of this will run slightly higher, just so that it clears that place where the stove is coming out. But otherwise it will be pretty much the same, and we're going to do it in the orange just so that it stands out and everyone knows that you've got a Glawning. I think that's everything. If you've got any questions, feel free to fire them into the comments if this is on the blog, or in the comments if this is on YouTube, or better still, just drop us an email and we'll do our best to answer. So thanks for listening. I hope that's been informative. Personally, I really love this. I think it's going to be a bit of a game changer. Thanks again. See you next time.